The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is November 12th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 891. And today, Tucker plays the harp. Signing on from Off Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. I'm back on World Pneumonia Day. Woo!
World Pneumonia Day.
Yes, this is not on the Canary Cry calendar. In fact, there's nothing on today. So maybe we can add this. Yeah, it's the World Health Organization 2009 through UNICEF really wanted to highlight the problem of pneumonia out there and created World Pneumonia Day. And having been somebody who had to go to the hospital for pneumonia several years ago, I can relate. I can relate to the pain of pneumonia, of not being able to breathe with those.
You know, pneumonia is a big problem. We obviously learned a lot about pneumonia during COVID.
Yes.
And the biggest, scariest thing about pneumonia is the hospital-induced pneumonia. Most people who die in the hospital, most of them die of actually, hospital induced pneumonia. Terrible thing. They got to figure it out. They got to stop spreading pneumonia in hospitals. Well, not only is it World Pneumonia Day, Gonz, big shout out to everybody out there. Prayers go up for anybody who is, I guess, battling pneumonia or has any problem with pneumonia. We need to get it out of here. But it's a big day for a few reasons, but one of them is that it is Wednesday, Gonz.
It is Wednesday. Before we do the Wednesday jingle, though, just want to say thank you for holding it down on Monday. I did take the children to the zoo, and it's part of being homeschool type thing. You gotta like do things in the middle of the week.
You gotta learn stuff. You gotta do stuff.
You gotta like teach children stuff. So normally when you go to the zoo, I don't know about you, Basil, but it's very boring because all the animals are sleeping and they're hiding in a cave or they're just not out, right? I don't know what it was about Monday, but the animals were out in force. So we got to see the cheetahs walking around. I got to see a full-grown grizzly bear.
Oh my gosh!
Emerging out of the water and like walking around.
Oh, and you took a video of it.
I took video of. I mean, this was. There were people that had like season passes that were like, "We never see the grizzly bears," and they were out walking around. So that was cool. It's
probably the geomagnetic storms.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah. Got to see giraffes walking
this
around.
Week is calling out the giraffes. They're coming out to look at the aurora.
Yep. Especially giraffes. They're pretty high up there, so they probably get a better view of the auroras. Anyway, so yes, that's what I was up to on Monday. Thanks for holding it down. And it is Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what date it is? It's Wednesday. Time for Canary Cry News Talk.
Yay.
It is Wednesday. We're here. We're making it. Just a big shout out to everybody who's going to tune in to Canary Cry Clubhouse tomorrow. We've been getting back into the groove on Canary Cry Clubhouse. So for those who are catching this Wednesday show, just want to remind you, we'll be going live tomorrow for Canary Cry Clubhouse. We do call-ins. We do all sorts of stuff. Take a break from the news and really get into, whatever God's doing in the Canarium. Very important thing. Encourage people to tune in.
Are we being shadow banned today? What is it with our live stream? There's like nobody watching live right now.
Oh yeah, that is odd. That's a
very low number.
Strangely low number even for us. We probably are being shadow banned. Basically, piece by service by service. We have several different services we got to pay for and do on the internet, whether it's for emails or text messages or this or that. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like the fourth quarter blues or something, but they're all giving me notifications when I log in saying like, oh, you got to do this thing. You got to register this thing. You got to do this because we say so. And it's just like all this brand new sort of bureaucracy popping up. So maybe it's, you know, we're just need to navigate the empire a little bit better. Who knows?
Yeah. Shout out to Wheezy on X for sharing and replying to the post and everything, at least on the Face Like the Sun account there. So
thank you,
Wheezy. Trying to break the
Wheezy.
algos, man.
Here we go. We gave up on the algos long ago. Much like how the United States has finally, after many decades of fierce battlegrounds, today is a big day, not just because of Pneumonia Day, but coming from CNN over here, CNN Business, the headline is, "The last ever penny was minted today in Philadelphia." This one kind of snuck up on me, Gons. I don't know how I feel about this. We've talked about the, of course, movement towards a cashless society and the role that that plays in biblical prophecy and, you know, the end of the world as we know it. It feels like somebody should have given me a little bit of a heads up for the penny actually getting phased out today. It's very sad.
It's an interesting way that they wrote the article too.
Yeah, let's get into it a little bit here. It says the American penny passed away today after a prolonged illness. It was 238 years old. Okay, that's
okay.
It's insensitive. There's
it's insensitive to the entire coinage family, but also, what was it ill from? Could it be the
pneumonia?
The mindless, pneumonia. The mindless printing of the Federal Reserve? Is it fiat? The corruption of fiat? I mean, what is this illness that has gripped the pennies to its death?
This is how it starts. I think it's a symptom of the lack of auditing at Fort Knox, Gons. I think it's directly connected to Fort Knox. Okay. Now they can say, you know, oh no, something about, you know, we got rid of the pennies because it was affecting the price of gold. I don't know. Let's see what they have to say. The last penny was minted Wednesday afternoon at the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, overseen by U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach. President Donald Trump announced via social media in February that he instructed the mint to stop making the once popular coin. When was it popular?
It sounds like they're talking about a meme coin. It was once popular coin that no longer.
Yeah. I mean, in the 1910s, pennies were huge. Everybody loved pennies. You know, pennies could get you quite a bit.
Yeah.
Stop making the once popular coins, citing the cost of production. The penny cost nearly 4 cents to mint. Oh my gosh. More than the coin's worth. Once valuable enough to buy penny candy like gumballs and feed parking meters or toll booths. Today, the penny lives mostly in coin jars, junk drawers, and leave a penny, take a penny trays. Always take the pennies. This is the sign. If you're ever in the leave a penny, take a penny tray aisle, take those pennies, okay? They're worth more than ever now. They might be worth 4 cents now that they're going to stop making.
I was going to say there's going to be a shortage on pennies. Now we got a limited supply, so we got scarcity. Yeah, we can make let's make a call option. Let's buy a warehouse of pennies, Basil.
I was going to say, we could give out the P.O. box for people to send all their pennies.
Sending your pennies to us. Yeah, we'll be the new Canary Cry vault of pennies.
The penny producer. Yeah, the penny treasury. Ooh, that sounds fun. Beach said Wednesday that the final coins pressed will be auctioned off and that the actual last pennies put into circulation from the U.S. Mint were struck in June. The penny outlived its sibling, the half penny, by 168 years. It's survived by the nickel, dime, quarter, and rarely seen $50 and dollar coins. Despite its demise, the penny will remain legal tender. You know, there's something kind of, they're obviously having fun. They're doing like a eulogy for the penny. But it kind of, I don't know, it gives me a weird feeling, like the making the making light of it, the having fun with it, as someone who likes to make light and have fun of serious things, all the time. There's something that feels a little manipulative about it. I don't quite know what it is. It says problems despite long planned end. For a coin that seems obsolete, its removal from circulation is causing more problems than expected, especially for retailers. Some merchants plan to round prices to the nearest nickel, often a penny or two more. Others are asking customers to pay with pennies to help supply. But in some states, merchants could face legal trouble for rounding up or down. Additionally, any savings from discontinuing the 1-cent coin could be offset by the need to press more nickels, which costs the U.S. more money than the penny. Yeah, but is it less than 5 cents? Is it more than 5 cents? The government phasing out of the penny has been quite quote, a bit chaotic, said Mark Weller, executive director of Americans for Common Sense with a C. That's very good. The Pro Penny Group is funded primarily by Artisan, the company that provides the blanks used to make pennies. Wow, look at CNN doing some deep dives into the funding of social movements like Americans for Common Sense. They're actually doing some deep diving reporting here. Quote, by the time we reach Christmas, the problems will be more pronounced than retailers not having pennies. Weller said the other countries that removed low denomination coin, like Canada, Australia, and Switzerland, had guidance for afterwards. Not so in the United States. Quote, we had a social media post by Trump during the Super Bowl Sunday, but no real plan for what retailers would have to do, he said, referring to the president's February announcement. Different rounding plans. Okay, then they go into Quick Trip, a family-owned convenience store chain that operates in the Midwest, decided to round down cash purchases in stores where it hasn't been able to find pennies. This is actually a good incentive to use more cash. I think this could be one way that the pro-cash activists could kind of incentivize using cash more. You could save as much as 4 pennies just by paying cash. Quote, there's no way that we wanted to charge customers an extra 2 cents because we just didn't think that was fair, said John McHugh, spokesperson for the company. Quote, I mean, it's not their fault, and that's there's a pennies. It's not their fault that there's a penny shortage. But with 20 million customers a year and 17% of them paying with cash, the policy will eventually cost Quick Trip a couple of $1 million a year, McHugh said.
Wow.
That's math for you,
That is interesting math. 20 million customers. Okay, yeah.
That's how we are always taught growing up, Gons, that you save your pennies. It adds up real quick. As a kid, I don't know what it was like in your family, Gons, but in my family, everybody had their own little coin jar. I was like 6 years old, and I'd find coins on the ground, or I'd get some, maybe some coins for doing chores or whatever, and they'd all go in the jar. And at some point in my life, I had this jar that I spent pretty much all day counting out all the coins and how much it had gotten up to. It had gotten up to about $360 of coins. I think there was a time or two in there that my parents actually had to borrow money from the Bank of Basel. I mean, I kind of went off last episode about how I should have become a banker and to see if it's too late to get in finance. The signs were there. The signs were there.
That was really funny. I can hear the pain in your voice.
I know. What have we done, guys? Should have gone into finance. It's not just businesses that face increased costs. Rounding to the closest nickel will cost consumers about $6 million a year, according to a July study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. The Federal Reserve getting their little tentacles in the penny game. That is fairly modest, coming to about 5 cents each from across 133 million American households.
133 million. Always got to have a 33 in there.
It's got to be in there. And rounding is not a national solution. 4 states, Delaware, Connecticut, Michigan, and Oregon, as well as numerous cities, including New York, Philadelphia, Miami, and Washington, D.C., require merchants to provide exact change, according to the National Association of Convenience Stores. There's an organization we need to be paying more attention to, Gons. NACS, National Association of Convenience Stores. In addition, I mean, especially with all the EBT stuff and now the penny.
Yeah.
So I bet NACS is quite the powerful organization. In addition, the law covering the federal food assistance program known as SNAP. Okay, here we go. We're getting in on it. In addition, the law covering the federal food assistance program known as SNAP requires that recipients not be charged more than their customers, since SNAP recipients use a debit card that's charged the precise amount. If merchants round down prices for cash purchases, they could be opening themselves up to legal problems and fines, said Jeff Leonard, spokesperson for NACS. Speaking of SNAP, there was an update today that the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, agrees that Trump can continue withholding the full SNAP benefits. Just a little update there for anybody who's following that. Quote, rounding down.
Sorry, I was trying to play the Supreme Court jingle, and I don't know if it's the right one. It apparently is not the right one, but
Supreme Court.
Fully operational, huh? Well, I'll be the judge of that.
That's not the correct one.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's been a long-standing issue on this show that just naming the jingles should be, maybe a project that we work on, naming them correctly.
Supreme Court, SCOTUS.
There it is.
There we are.
Rounding down on all transactions presents several challenges beyond the loss of an average 2 cents per transaction, Leonard said. We desperately need legislation that allows rounding so retailers can make change for these customers. For that reason, NACS and other retail groups recently wrote to Congress asking for legislation to deal with the questions raised by the end of the penny. End of a wonderful life. The penny was one of the nation's first coins, first minted in 1786, 6 years before the mint itself was established.
1787, just to fact check you.
Yeah, I wonder why I didn't say any of those numbers right. Benjamin Franklin is widely credited with designing the first penny, known as the Fugio cent. Fugio cent? That sounds Japanese, Guns. Does that mean anything to you? Fugio cent?
Ben Franklin was an anime fan back in the 70s.
That's true. He was a big fan of Chainsaw Head or whatever. Yes. Its current form arrived in 1909 on the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, when it became the first American coin to feature a president. Oh, that's a fun detail. But it has declined in both use and popularity ever since. The Treasury Department now says there is an estimated 300 billion pennies in circulation. That comes to a bit less than $9 for every American, but most of the coins are severely underutilized. So outcry from the public over its demise has been muted. Joe Dittler, a 74, that's a name. Joe Dittler, a 74-year-old writer and historian from Colorado, said he still has an old cigar box filled with mostly pennies given to him by his grandfather. He remembers flattening pennies on the railroad tracks or souvenir machines in amusement parks. However, he only occasionally uses pennies to make cash purchases and often tosses the 1 cent coin in the tip jar. Quote, that's one number that they did leave out of the statistics here. How much money is now going to be taken from tipped employees? Because I think he's right. I think most pennies probably end up directly in the tip jar. You take every tip jar and every penny across the nation. I mean, that is a significant loss in penny GDP for our tipped employees. Quote, they bring back memories that have stayed with me all my life, he said. Quote, the penny has had a wonderful life, but it's probably time for it to go away. And this is how the cashless society begins. The point is to cause these problems and cause the legislative turmoil that is soon coming. Forget about SNAP, forget about the ACA, forget about Obamacare, forget about all of it. The penny legislation. I'm telling you, this is how the snowball begins. It's the one snowflake that will roll and roll and roll legislatively, picking up steam and mass that will inevitably crash the economy. I'm telling you right now, in a year or two, when we are in straight up apocalypse, economic apocalypse, the penny dying on this day 11, 12, 25. It'll be tracked back to that. It's 5D chess, Gons.
All right. So here's a little bit of alpha for anybody out there. If you have pennies pre-1982, collect them, because it's a hedge. Yeah, it's a hedge against the inflation. Yeah, for right now, even right now, pre-1982 pennies, the amount of copper that's in there is worth about 2.6 cents. So a pre-1982 penny is worth more than 1 cent, almost double, 1.5%.
Pre-1982 doesn't seem that hard either. Oh gosh, that's like 50 years ago, isn't it? That's horrifying.
Well, I mean, yeah,
let's not think
right.
about that.
I was born in the 80s, so yeah. Yeah, so there's one thing it's something to pay attention to. Maybe stocking up on pennies will become its own way to not just, and it's not a currency per se, but just a matter of holding copper, and copper will become probably more important. You know, America does mine a lot of copper. There's a little bit of imports of copper, but copper is a very important resource for computing as well, at least modern or contemporary compute. You know, you need a lot of copper for the fiber cables and stuff like that, some of the pieces for the computer and all that. So I'm wondering if that's where all the focus will go, because all these copper miners, what are they going to do now? Because they're not mining to make pennies anymore.
Well, that's probably actually part of the plan here, because of course the United States is in the process of securing their own sort of precious metal supply chains, you know, and not that, you know, the US, I think, has a pretty decent amount of copper supplies, copper mining going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're spending a few $100 million of copper, American copper, to make pennies, when that could be going straight to making AI data centers, Gons.
Right. I know. Yeah. This is it's just a game to see who can build the biggest data centers. And I think the US are cutting the penny so they can take off. Well, I guess it should be, to clarify, since 1982, there's only like 3% of the penny is copper now. The rest of it's zinc. So most of it is zinc now.
Only 3%. That's much less than I thought.
It's much less. Yeah. Post 90. So yeah, look for those pennies pre 1982. Collect those, because it's almost 100 times more than, or 100 times more copper in that than the post 1982 pennies.
Sometimes. I mean, I guess there's a few times, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's your penny alpha there. Gotta collect those pennies. Might come in handy. And maybe when we're in the apocalypse, the people with the pennies will be the first ones to be able to rebuild the computers, you know?
I mean, it is the smallest denomination of precious metals. You're talking in apocalypse times, you can have gold, you can have silver, but if they're in big bars or they're too big to actually spend, it's not very helpful. You know, you're not going to give somebody a whole gold bar for a beaver pelt, or maybe you are. It depends how much you like the feel of beaver.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these tiny denominations of precious metals, that's money, baby. Again, it's probably the pre-82. I think pre-82 is a good thing to focus on.
Yep. Just to piggyback on this, is there anything else on the penny that you wanted to mention?
Not necessarily.
I want to bring this just because we're talking about money. Politico just reported yesterday, Trump administration declares CFPB funding illegal. That's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Financial Protection Bureau funding is illegal. And basically, well, let me read a little bit. Trump administration has formally determined the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's current funding mechanism is unlawful, a move that puts the agency on track to close in the coming months when its existing cash runs out. The decision, disclosed in a court filing late Monday, marks the administration's most direct effort yet to dismantle the consumer watchdog and sets up a new front in the ongoing legal battle over its future. The administration said it now considers the CFPB legally barred from seeking additional money from the Federal Reserve, which is the agency's typical source of funding. So the Consumer Protection Agency, this watchdog, was receiving funding from the Federal Reserve directly as its funding. And now Trump is saying that is illegal. And basically Trump said, you know, they're going to run out of money by the end of the year, the CFPB. So by next year, they won't have any funding. I don't know what that means. I mean, consumer protection for most people is a comfort thing. It is its own sort of psyop to like make people feel like, oh, we have government protection
Yeah,
over
right.
whatever our purchases or our mortgage or whatever it is. But to remove that, the somebody has to play in the federal government. Somebody has to play the policeman or the one that's kind of making sure everything is on the up and up. I can
Or
see
at
a
least
shift.
depending on who their friends are and who's
Well,
paying.
of
But
course.
it was seeing here just as a little, AI summary being given here. It says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is funded through transfers from the Federal Reserve. It's
Yes.
talking about getting direct money transfers
Direct
from the
money,
Federal
yeah.
Reserve, a non-government organization.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. That's very strange. I wonder
Yeah.
why.
And I'm wondering why it took so long for this to be called out even. I guess we're in the era of exposing all of our corrupt financial rails. That's been, part of the problem with the downfall of the dollar, our purchasing power going down and fiat and all that kind of stuff. But it is interesting. And this is all coming also when, big institutions and whatnot are starting to talk about, oh, we're going to go on chain. You used to hear that from crypto bros. Now big institutions and banks are starting to talk about on chain and crypto and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I wonder if a lot of the consumer protection is moving in that direction where, all the transactions are
Oh,
pseudo anonymous, but pseudo public. There's
it's
a level
yeah.
of public visual into it. And also, I don't know if you've noticed, Basil, but a lot of privacy coins have been pumping because your traditional libertarian crypto bros are all raising their fist against the institutions coming in and picking up Bitcoin and all the different cryptos and ETFs and all that stuff. They're not very happy. They're like, this is against our libertarian ethos. And so we will uphold the privacy coin. And you can see like Zcash and Monero and stuff that allegedly have private transactions really go against market sentiment right now. So it's
Well,
really
that's
interesting. But
good.
I am curious because this is a big deal. Like just psychologically, put aside all the technical details and under the hood, all the stuff going on with the financial rails. Just psychologically, the public, how are they going to have that feeling of comfort that the government is going to take care of you if something happens? That's all going away.
I
So
was gonna ask about the funding. It seems like one of those things that would have been funded through like USAID or something. They're obviously dubious. I mean, the fact that they're getting paid directly from Federal Reserve is dubious in its own right. Says here, this funding mechanism. Let's see here. It was established by the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010. So this was in response to the collapse of 2008. Interestingly enough, 2010, also the year that Obamacare happened. So you have Obamacare and the funding of the CFPB by directly from the Federal Reserve, all coming from 2010, which is the solution of the problem reaction solution that was the 2008 housing crisis, the financial bubble, the recession, the whole thing. So this was in the solution phase of that economic turmoil, which again automatically makes it dubious because we know the Hegelian dialectic of these mass economic events seem to be, in hindsight, mostly engineered for the benefit of the establishment. And there is no establishment so establishment as the Federal Reserve. Says the transfer mechanism, the CFPB requests funds quarterly from the Federal Reserve, which are based on the Bureau's operational needs. So it's just like, hey, time for our money. Can we have the money? Funding cap, the annual funding cap has increased from $598 million in 2013 to $823 million in 2025. So less than $1 billion. That's current funding.
still, that's
Mhm.
if you're somebody with a desk job that's signing papers or I don't know, running documents through ChatGPT. I mean, that's how many people currently work at the CFP? Let me find that out. What's the number
Yeah,
of
it says
employees?
here's a legal opinion. The Office of Legal Counsel, the OLC, has determined that the CFPB cannot currently request funds from the Federal Reserve due to a lack of combined earnings at the Fed. This interpretation suggests that the CFPB may exhaust its funds by early 2026. The impact of Federal Reserve losses. The Federal Reserve has reported net losses since 2022, which affects its ability to transfer funds to the CFPB. So the Federal Reserve is in the red. Apparently, the Federal Reserve's been in the red since 2022, if this AI summary is to be believed. So they're saying, yeah, you can't be funding government organizations when you're in the red. That's considered sort of irresponsible fiscal policy.
Yeah, it's about 1,800 employees for the CFPB. So that amounts to about, I mean, if we're just equally dividing up $1 billion, I'm rounding here, about $500,000 per employee. I'm sure that's not what each employee gets, but just doing a quick math on that. So I don't know. That's a good amount of money to take calls, run paperwork through ChatGPT.
Well,
I'll do that.
That's also the question. Like, I understand generally what the CFPB does. The idea is that it monitors different economic instruments and systems to make sure that it's like fair for the consumer. Again, we should all feel very suspicious of something like that.
Biased.
Yeah, it says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created in response to the 2008 financial crisis to protect consumers from unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices in the financial services industry. Okay, so yeah, specifically in the financial services industry, things like the SEC, stocks, bonds, crypto, probably has something to do with crypto, honestly. During the government shutdown, I could pull a source if I'm quick enough. During the government shutdown, there was actually a change in SEC rules for IPOs, initial public offerings. If a company wanted to go public, usually there's like a multiple year vetting process, regulatory thing that if a company wants to become public, that they have to go through and sort of prove that they're allowed to do this. Let me pull this up here. SEC, from the report that I saw, there was maybe not a loophole, rules during shutdown, where if your company wanted to go IPO, they could basically just do it. Here it is. The SEC has issued temporary guidance allowing companies to proceed with IPOs during a government shutdown by removing and delaying amendment from their registration statements. This enables the registration statements to become effective automatically after 20 days, even without SEC review, as long as they comply with certain pricing rules. So during the shutdown, and this brings in a whole nother element to the government shutdown. We talked about the vote to end the shutdown. The government is still currently shut down, and it won't. They still have to do these votes. It won't be open at the soonest until next week. There's the whole process. But yeah, during the shutdown, you can IPO your company just basically automatically. You turn in the paperwork, and as long as the paperwork is right, it just takes 20 days. And now, why is that important? Well, it's very difficult for companies to IPO, which means to be put on the stock market, to become a public.
lot of rings to jump through. A lot of finessing has to go on.
Just
you gotta know the right people.
Yeah. And yeah, it could take companies years and years for that to go through. And now it can just go through in 20 days. So we wonder, okay, we had the longest government shutdown. It's so stupid. Everybody was lying about it. It was just, the reasons for it make no sense, the ones that are being given. And inevitably, after the Democrats won their elections in Virginia and New York, oh, surprise, surprise, they suddenly vote to open it back up. Okay, there you go. But during that time, during that 40 days, that was enough time for like 2 rounds of any company that wants to go public to just go public. I'd be
We should have
curious.
done it. Should have done it.
I'd be curious to see a list of all the IPOs that came out during the shutdown. I'll see if I can find that list of IPOs.
So it looks like the CFPB back in 2022 issued, they reported that there was over 8,300 complaints about crypto assets between 2018 and 2022. And that, half of them were about fraud or scams or something like that. And so they started to basically put out there that anybody who's doing any funds movement in crypto, doesn't matter if you're just you and I or big institutions or banks or whoever, they have to comply under these new rules that were proposed. It was not put into law, but they are also battling against the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, and the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, in terms of crypto regulation. And I feel that maybe this is Trump's way of getting rid of one of the government institutions that had a I don't know, they had what am I trying to say? Like they were in the fight in essence to control the regulations for crypto. And given, Trump's love for crypto and the golden age and all that, which by the way, he's the Trumps, man, they're making a killing. The rest of the world is suffering from the craziest, boring crypto markets ever. But in terms of people extracting and making a ton of money, the Trumps are loving it. So I can see getting rid of any regulatory body that could get in the way, short-term and long-term, for crypto, and by extension from Trump, crypto meaning Trump's, people, to succeed or have more accumulation opportunities or something, because the regulation isn't super clear yet when it comes to all that. And knowing what we know about digital IDs with the rest of the world, in America, we generally don't like CBDC, central bank digital currencies. And so we have to do it through what is more commercial. And in order to do that, we need to get rid of or reshape consumer financial protection, what that even looks like if we're going into the age of on-chain finance, so to speak, So we'll see what happens to it, but yeah, I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. You had said, Basil, a few months ago how within a year, and I think maybe it was like January of this year, by January 2026, we're going to live in a totally different world. Yeah. And we saw a lot of stablecoin stuff in conversations. You and I have been interviewing people with new Canary Cry episodes coming out soon about gold backs and the role of gold. We've seen the gold markets and silver markets pump, and it's just a very uncertain time right now. Everything is very up in the air. It's uncertain. People are saying recession. People are saying housing bubble's about to pop again, all kinds of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, go ahead.
So we talked about, Trump floating the idea of 50-year mortgages and how spooky that is. Today, they just came out and Besant was floating the idea of what they call portable mortgages. One of the big problems with housing right now is people who got great mortgage rates in, 2020, 2021, 2022, when rates were very low. They can't sell their house because if they're going to sell their house, they're going to be paying a huge increase of interest on a new mortgage. So they're disincentivized to sell their house or to move. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau regulates a variety of financial products and services, including mortgages, credit cards, student loans, payday loans, debt collection practices, goes into other things like prepaid cards, consumer reporting, bank products. So like mortgages specifically, the 50-year mortgage is really a dystopian, horrible.
It's so bad. I mean, I can see logically, in terms of all of these young people in their 20s, they don't have enough money to purchase a home.
The reality is, you know, it doesn't bring the monthly payment down enough to actually
No,
justify
not
doing
really.
it. It's the way it's structured is not really credible. But the point is, you see Besant and the Trump administration throwing out these ideas, just like really trying to see if it, or at least look like they're coming up with ideas. And Besant, you know, came out and said, "Oh, don't worry, we have a whole arsenal of weapons to get you into a house," which was kind of a weird, you know, set of words to use.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like new mortgage, they mentioned portable mortgages, which is the ability. The idea is, I'm not a pro, but from what I read about it, the idea is you could take your mortgage and move it to another bank without, or you can like apply that mortgage to another house or something without actually having to renegotiate mortgage terms. Again, this is with the hope to give people an incentive to move or sell their house, you know, sell their house and get a new house with the same mortgage details, the same rates and everything, just to try to get the movement. Because remember, at the highest levels of economics, GDP, and this is why GDP makes so little sense and why it's applied in ways that makes a little sense. But the idea is, at the highest levels, they don't think of money as an object to be hoarded. They count success in the amount of money moving from one place to another. That's GDP. There's not like a generating of more money. It's just money moving around. It's supposed to be this, you know, the motion of money is the success of an economy, which is why, you know, there's the joke of, you know, the one economist pays another economist $100 to jump off the bridge, and then the other economist pays the first economist $100 to also jump off the bridge. And so they both jumped off a bridge and they end up with the same amount of money that they had before, but they go, yeah, but it's $200 in GDP. So total success. We both jumped off a bridge and we generated GDP, even though nobody has more money. And so
a lot of the big real estate people, I mean, not everybody, but there's a few of them out there who are saying that this 50-year thing is terrible because, especially right now, owning a home it's not an asset; it's more of a liability. And so, you know, it's not going to help you necessarily unless you're like a mogul and you got like 50 different locations and you're able to generate some kind of cash flow. It's not a great investment for somebody who's just looking for a forever home or something, you know, because you're literally, it doesn't matter if it's 30 years, 50 years, or 100 years, you're indebted to the banks forever. It just makes the enslavement contract longer, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not a great thing.
So the CFPB shutting down due to weird funding rules or whatever by 2026. I mean, this would clear some significant hurdles for any sort of weird changes to financial products like mortgages to actually go through. Now, is there a sense in which that might be beneficial to maybe new mortgage holders? I don't know. I haven't like tried to go in and steel man the thing. I imagine that there's some sort of argument to say, well, the reason rates are so high or the reason it's so hard to get a mortgage is because of the regulation of the CFPB. You know, the CFPB's rules. And who knows, maybe it's some sort of, you know, racket. Maybe there's some sort of inappropriate regulation going on that forces banks to do whatever the CFPB wants. And maybe, like a lot of government organizations, maybe there's some weird ideological, you know, momentum or motivation that's like causing some weird deep state economic turmoil. I don't know. But if I'm trying to steel man that side, there could be something like that. And would reducing regulation from CFPB, could that potentially bring down interest rates? Maybe. Could it bring down the cost of a mortgage? Maybe. I don't know. Could it be the obstacle to get out of the way to like maybe something that who's the guy in Florida, the governor of Florida? DeSantis. You know, DeSantis is out there campaigning to get rid of
Property tax?
Property tax. Yeah. You know, he's doing it for Florida, but he's now campaigning for the whole country to do it. You know, so there could be some of these big, well, what it signals to me is that there are some big changes in just how the whole thing works, and getting rid of CFPB, this sort of guardian of the old way. I mean, they're paid for directly by the Federal Reserve. So anything that the CFPB does is going to be in service of the Federal Reserve, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah.
And if the interests of the Federal Reserve are against the interests of new home buyers, then this would be a way to get, you know, to kind of sabotage that weird, again, just definitionally deep state involvement. It's the unelected bureaucrats that control the economy. That's what the Federal Reserve is. Nobody elected them. Nobody chose them. They played their part in the smoky back rooms, and that's how they get the job. So, you know, it could be that. Either way, it's paving the way for some significant changes in the way the entire system works.
Yeah, like we've been saying and have been speculating on, when you start messing with the economics, that's when you're really messing with the veins of society, the blood, where the blood runs, right? You're changing all that. So it's a big deal. I'm receiving information on good authority that if you do collect pre-1982 pennies, do not melt them down for scrap value. You can go to prison for 20 years for doing that. So don't start melting your pre-1982 pennies and making, you know, copper bars or something like that. So
good news is that I don't think you would need to, you know, if you're going to scrap your pennies. There's some shady scrap salesperson out there who would do the melting on your behalf, probably. Yeah, so no, I think this signals some pretty significant, you know, combined with the other signals that we've seen recently regarding changes in the specifically sort of the housing and mortgage economy, but across the board. I think this signals something pretty profound for next year, which again, next year is going to be a year of drastic moves. I mean, this year was already the biggest year of drastic moves. I mean, it's exhausting. Everybody's exhausted with the drastic happenings and moves regarding the system. But next year, end of the year, is going to be midterms. There's going to be people making drastic moves to, you know, to clinch the midterms, because next November will be basically the decision of whether Trump is basically,
the Republicans will have a chance in 2028.
Well, it's, you know, it's the deciding factor of whether Trump's presidency basically ends next November. Because if the Democrats take the majority, they're going to impeach him. He's not going to get anything done ever again. It's just going to be a bunch of drama and nothing will change, right? So at least coming from the Trump side, without doing something so drastic that he can clinch the midterms for the Republicans, that's basically the end of it. The ride's over.
Yeah. Well, the what was I going to mention here? Oh, yeah, all this news about the CFPB and everything, very boring, right? This is like boring information that can change the way you hold your money in like 6 months. You know, it's pretty wild that, like you were talking about, everyone's tired, everyone's worn out from all the crazy from this year in general. And, you know, people are just yelling at each other for all kinds of different reasons, but in the background, you're always, you got to pay attention to all the little moves. And something like this is boring enough for people, normies, I guess, to not really pay attention to. But you don't know, it's something to keep an eye on. But also, you know, Basil, Jesus said, when things start to happen, look up. And right now, everybody in America is looking up.
Space. Wanna go to space?
This is NPR.org, because we think NPR is just the most fantastic news outlet out there. The U.S. saw vivid northern lights as far south as Florida. And more could be coming. Geomagnetic. This is all part of the sort of geoengineering conversation too. Geomagnetic storms brought the northern lights to much of the U.S. on Tuesday night, painting the sky in vibrant hues and green and pink. The aurora borealis was spotted in a large swath of states, including Idaho, Iowa, Missouri, New Mexico, New York, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington state. Northern lights were visible as far south as parts of Florida and Alabama, a relatively rare occurrence that highlights the severity of this week's storms. Quote, we have had activity tonight. A lot of geomagnetic storm activity, end quote. Sean Dahl, service coordinator at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, Space Weather Prediction, said in a video on X. And we have some footage here. I mean, nothing extraordinarily compelling. I mean, people have seen footage of the auroras and stuff, but I mean, I'm sure it's for people that haven't seen it. Didn't you travel somewhere to really see them at some point?
No, that was the one of the solar eclipses. Well, apparently these were visible as far south as Florida last night.
Yeah.
And I'm over here peeking around on Space Weatherman, Space Weather News here, who is the geomagnetic influencer, I guess, or the solar magnetic space wind influencer. He's saying that there should be some more tonight as well. Yes. There's a series of 3 G4 solar storms that popped off a few days ago. So last night was just the first one hitting. Allegedly, there should be some tonight as well. Did you see anything last night? Did you even look? I didn't even look.
I mean, I'm in California, so.
Oh, Southern California. That's pretty far south.
We're not going to really, I don't think we're going to see much, even if, yeah. I didn't see anything. I didn't notice anything. I think we would have all knocked on our neighbors' doors and stuff if it was compelling enough.
Yeah, except for who's out there looking up. Nobody's out there looking up. I didn't even hear about this until today. But you know, I was busy. I had stuff going on yesterday. Wasn't paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it happens. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this it's interesting that this phenomenon is taking place the week of the Tucker Carlson interview.
Yeah, this was very interesting.
Wigington.
Speaking of which, I'm going to throw a link in here, Gons, to Space Weatherman, who again, Space Weatherman is like the guy. I think it was last year. He basically built his entire following on the science of last year's mega solar storms, and everybody was freaking out. I was freaking out. And we had Dane Wigington, who made it onto Tucker Carlson yesterday. And I'm listening to this thing. I go, this guy sounds so familiar. And it's because we talked to Dane Wigington in 2013 or 2012 or something. We had him on episode 60 of Canary Cry Radio. Apparently, the dude's been charging it ever since. And there you go, episode 60, Geoengineering with Dane Wigington. Go check out Canary Cry Radio. That episode is from what year? 2013.
2013, December of 2013, literally 12 years ago.
12 years ago, we had Dane on, and look at him go. He's on Tucker Carlson. This is especially interesting to us because Tucker Carlson, obviously one of, if not the most popular sort of conservative guy, podcaster or whatever in the world, who has been getting progressively fringier. Just little by little. And, we're wondering, is this some sort of algorithmic thing? Is this, the process of watching the fringiest of podcast topics that you could possibly do 12 years ago become the number one, listened to thing. I'm happy for Dane. I hope things work out great for Dane. And in fact, Dane today made it onto Newsmax. So it's just full on cable news. But here's something interesting before we dive into it. I mentioned Space Weatherman or Sun Weatherman, Space Weather News. He reposted the Vigilant Fox's clips of Tucker Carlson talking to Dane Wigington today. And the Space Weather News said this: you mean CIA psychological operation? Let me tell you something. Since this topic first went popular before 2010, there have been tens of thousands of large-scale tests of soil and snow and rain and rooftops and grass, etc. The only person who has ever found any excess amount is this guy. And 14 scientists went to the location after he published the data and determined that he literally made it up. It is not hard or expensive for you to buy a testing kit and test rain and snow and soil, etc., comparing it to the levels that are supposed to be there naturally, which you can also find online. I went around the United States and Canada in the Mobile Observatory Project on tour in 2014, which I'm sure some of you remember. We did over 140 tests. The only guy who ever found anything who had any already been calling a CIA operation for years blatantly faked the data. Space Weather News is not buying it. From Dane
Space Weather
Wigington.
News is saying Dane Wigington is CIA. Does that mean we had a CIA guy on our show?
Well, that's the idea. I'm sitting here going, wow, I just coming down hard on Space Weather News. As you can imagine, we brought some of the mainstream reporting of this Tucker Carlson podcast, and kind of interesting how Space Weatherman, Sun Weatherman, is sitting here taking the side of CNN and NPR and calling.
Yeah, that seems to be a
shill.
Man, there's
That's
a greater
weird,
conversation to be had about this, because I'm noticing a lot within the conservative camp, and this started obviously with the Zionist conversation in Israel and all that, where part of the, I guess, I don't know, I just conservative, the right, the truth, whatever, like this big group that we're all supposed to be kind of one big thing, America first, MAGA, whatever. I'm seeing the division where half the people are starting to turn on the other half, and by doing so, they are taking up the side of the mainstream.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. It's almost like we've gone too far in the alt world. Now there has to be a return to the promised land of the progressive left Democrats or something. It's like the diaspora has ended. All those people that were liberals that were like, I'm going to vote Republican. And now it's starting to flip. That vote is starting to turn again, Basil. I don't know.
It's kind of been the thing with the right, though, is that it's not some big monolithic group.
I know it's not supposed to be.
Democrats are sort of enforcing the monolithic ideology. The right has always been very dispersed ideologically.
Right.
But yeah, very interesting. You have the right getting torn apart between Israel in Gaza or whatever, just Israel and America first, getting torn to shreds. And now Space Weatherman here is tearing the right apart when it comes to chemtrails. Like, is the Sun Weatherman saying that there's no such thing as chemtrails? Like the most easily provable thing going on? I did end up listening to Dane Wigington's podcast with Tucker Carlson. There was nothing crazy in there. Everything, I mean, you don't even have to say anything crazy when it comes to chemtrails now, because all the governments of the world have come out and started talking about geoengineering, and Bill Gates is talking about spraying aluminum into the sky. Like, these are all things. There's public companies that are doing geoengineering, and not just cloud seeding, although that's one thing. But anyway, we'll get all to that. Here's Huffington Post agreeing with Space Weather News.
What is the world coming to?
Critics rip Tucker Carlson's latest conspiracy talk, insulting to even basic intelligence. Oh, basic intelligence. Come on. Chemtrails have been debunked. All right. Tucker Carlson, weird. Are you seeing this?
Who has peddled several conspiracy theories?
Yeah, one word. Tucker Carlson, then one word, who has peddled several conspiracy.
You know what they did? I think they hyperlinked to a bunch of HuffPo articles. And
One
so
for
the word who is connected to Carlson's Jewish COVID conspiracy. The word has links to the Great Replacement conspiracy. The word peddled connects to the Tucker Carlson tinfoil hat theory blaming FBI. I mean, it's just one big hyperlink and they turned it into
of
one
like 10
giant
different
word.
hyperlinks.
Yeah, 50 different articles and it's just one big word. Yeah,
So that tells you that, this is an establishment protecting institution, which of course it is. It's Huffington Post. Tucker Carlson, who has peddled several conspiracy theories over the years, dug into his bag of misleading, bonkers claims on Monday to promote the fringe chemtrail conspiracy theory on his show. Part of me wonders if this was written by AI because Tucker Carlson did not make the claims. He brought on a guest who made the claims. It's just
didn't the guest even say that he's moving away from the phrase chemtrails?
Yeah, he doesn't even use the word chemtrails. He says, chemtrails is a loaded word and it doesn't even accurately describe what's going on. It's a geoengineering. He was calling it geoengineering back in 2012 when we talked to him. The former Fox News host, okay, there you go. It's just an obvious trigger word there, or trigger phrase. Alongside a clip of the episode on X, wrote that the government, quote, has finally admitted that chemtrails are real, highlighting points in the video that touched on strange streaks in the sky and the U.S. military's role in climate engineering. Believers in the debunked theory have linked
CNN link, by the way, CNN hyperlink for the word or the phrase debunk theory. That's good when you're pointing to CNN for your debunking. That's always a good sign.
Have linked condensation trails left behind by aircraft to some form of chemical or biological agent used to control the weather and or manipulate the public. A lot of broad. Notice how they don't say anything specific. They're just like, yeah, it's debunked, and because they're talking about chemical or biological agents to control the weather or manipulate the whatever. There's 1,000 different things in there, because you could say chemtrails are for mind control, or they're spraying aluminum in the sky that's bad for us because they want to reflect the sunlight away. That aluminum's not supposed to be so but what is it? Biologically available, right? The episode sees Carlson interviewing Dane Wigington, who once pushed a pseudoscientific theory that California's drought between 2011 and 2017 was the government's doing. Okay, he did talk about that. Carlson's post was hit with a community note on X that noted there's been no U.S. government admission confirming that chemtrails are, quote, real. I mean, even that phrase alone, like real, like there's no government admission confirming that chemtrails are, quote, real. Like there's no document that the government says chemtrails are real, in quote, meaning it's a specific statement. They've never, it's just, anyways.
Chemtrail.gov with just all it says is chemtrails are real, period.
They're real.
That's what they need. That's what they want. They want documents. They want a new press release. Yeah.
Exactly. Critics on X clowned the former Fox News host over episode, including one user who called the chemtrail claims insulting to even basic intelligence. So there's where they get their headline. They get their headline from a tweet of someone who tweeted at Tucker Carlson. That's the news. And what I read you now is the entirety of the work that Huffington Post put into this article. The entire rest of the webpage, which you scroll for quite a while, is just post after post, embedded post, mind you, embedded post after embedded post with no commentary, with no links, with no summary or explanation, just dozens of replies to Tucker Carlson on X. And that's the news, folks. It's beautiful. It just keeps going.
You know what? It's almost like they just said, here, take these social media posts and write me an article, AI. Give it to me.
Yeah, the news from HuffPost is literally a lot of people on X disagree with Tucker. That's the news. Tune in tomorrow for more the news, where we just embed X posts.
It's pretty crazy that all these people, including the what's his name that you posted there, the space weather newsman. There are documents from Congress.gov.
Yes.
Like this one, solar geoengineering.
Geoengineering.
And climate change. This was published back in May of 2023.
Yeah.
So, and it says here, SG, solar geoengineering, refers to a set of methods aimed at cooling the Earth in order to counteract the warming effects of increases in greenhouse gases. Okay, so all right, it's not exactly a chemtrail, but we're talking about geoengineering. Yeah, that's the key.
Dane Wigington specifically said, we don't call them chemtrails. They're not chemtrails. That's similar to the phrase conspiracy theorist, which was made up by the CIA in order to discredit JFK.
Recontextualized by the CIA. The phrase existed prior. But
the phrase is English words, but making the English words into, a thing was the CIA. Similar thing with the chemtrails. Yeah, and by the way, if you go to, you really don't have to listen to, 24 random people on Twitter to get your news, Huffington Post. At Dane's website, Geoengineering Watch, I think is .org, he has a list. I did put the link in there, Gons, if you wanted to open it up. We're not going to go document by document, but he's got hyperlinked about, 100, maybe more, documents from weather modification hearings in 1974, CIA documents on weather warfare, Weather Modification Research and Technology Transfer Authorization Act of 2005, going back, on 80 years of documents, government documents, as well as, hearings, transcriptions, things like that. And that's just on the document side of things. He also has this patent tab over there up on the top. You don't need to go there, but you can see it, where he lists out just all the weather modification patents, where they specifically are talking about
140-year-old patents.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
It's talking about aluminum. So here's the thing. It's just silly to say that geoengineering doesn't exist. And notice how none of the responses, even in Space Weather News Guy, none of them are saying geoengineering doesn't exist, because it does. We've been following. I started collecting links that we have covered just over the past year, and I just had to stop because there were so many of them. In 2001, you had Bill Gates. This was on Forbes. Bill Gates' venture aims to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun. What could go wrong? You had, let's see here, Futurism, startup secretly work. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. That's a different one.
Well, I have The Guardian from 6 months ago. The Guardian under the geoengineering, real world geoengineering experiments revealed by UK agency.
Yes.
It's a block. So this is very much a real phenomenon. Actually a little unbelievable that Tucker would do it. Fine, whatever. Tucker's, I guess he's just plugging Canary Cry straight into the database, or the producers or whoever over there are just using us as one of the resources.
Third guest of ours.
I know this is just one after another. Might as well just hire us at this point, or buy us out. Tucker Carlson will take a few $100 million. But it's crazy to me that everything Tucker talks about now is used as a division tactic for, I don't know,
all psyops.
And it's the Space Weather News Guy saying, you mean CIA psychological operation? Bro, I think your post is being complicit with the CIA psychological operation to try to poo-poo this idea of the fact that there's no geoengineering. But, specifically chemtrails, sure, but that's not what Dane Wigington is talking about necessarily. He's talking especially about the just geoengineering in general, weather modification in general. But by the way, CBS also interviewed Dane Wigington in 2015.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he has been on the radar. This is Growing Number believes California's drought is a government conspiracy. September 22nd, 2015. And they interviewed the movement's leader, Dane Wigington, when it comes to weather modification. So, he has been on the radar, or in the, the guest list of elite media.
I mean, that's even
cult.
still 10 years ago, though. I mean, that's
That is 10
interesting.
years
That's
ago.
a long time
Yeah,
ago.
a long time ago, yeah.
So, anyways, look, we know geoengineering is going on. Like, there's not even a discussion, and Dane goes into the whole thing, and it's all stuff that we've, anybody who's paying attention or been in the community for any amount of time, like, there's not even a question of whether it's happening or not, but the psyop of it that is matching the pattern that we're seeing regarding really anybody who would consider themselves on the right, or even the alt establishment of the right. There's very significant energy and ops going into tearing apart what used to be, what was even at the beginning of this year, this sort of naturally occurring group of people who either had left the left or were kicked out of the left or had just woken up to the madness of what's going on in the world. It's what got Trump the popular vote last year, was the fact that enough people, we had reached some sort of tipping point of enough people going like, okay, this is enough tomfoolery. Like, this is crazy. Going through COVID and everything, enough people are just like, okay, so no, we're not going to keep doing this. We're going to do something else. And there is obviously a very successful operation to really rattle the group or series of groups or just amorphous blob that is people who would be considered on the right. Many of them who are called far right are actually not even ideologically on the right at all. They're just like normal 90s Democrats. But there's a very effective thing going on right now. And, it's really frustrating trying to do the show right now, Cons. It's really frustrating watching the buffet selection of things to report on, or buffet selection of basically psyops to capture the airtime of people like us, to capture the airtime of the independent media who's just trying to get a solid grasp on things. There's so many slippery little things going on all at once. I mean, from Epstein to, the AutoPen to the Clinton Foundation, just got referred to the DOJ for taking bribe money, and all the 3i Atlas and the Charlie Kirk, and now the geoengineering. It's just every single conceivable topic is reaching this like frenetic point. And it changes so often, and the information is now so untrustworthy on all the sides. I mean, we know any mainstream reporting is going to be, up to and including absolute lies. Goes on. It could be as simple as just like manipulation of words or language, to just making slippery arguments, all the way to just straight up lie. And now with AI and the madness online and X and whatever, everything is just absolutely you can't even hold on to it or dig in for 5 minutes without losing, I guess, your grip on what's going on and getting caught up in the next thing. And I really think that this geoengineering Tucker Carlson thing and the response that it is garnering, the just eruption of, again, those you would consider to be on Team Tucker or at least on Team Geoengineering, the fact that Sun Weather Man is calling geoengineering a psyop, or whatever, is just, it makes it very frustrating, which is why it's so important for us today, folks, to when we look at stories, not get so hooked in on the rabbit trails of evidence or happenings or every little update on every little news story, but to really back up, remember our place in the universe as children of God, and remember where we are in the timeline of happenings, and remember what's important on our sort of daily recognition and relationship that we have with the creator of the universe. And then to kind of continue that mode of moving through the world with the big picture, come out just a little bit and watching the psyops specifically, not breaking apart every single little detail of every single little argument, but recognizing that it is just full-blown psyop season, just from top to bottom. And I worry for us, and I worry for me personally, because it's so easy to just get so locked in. And it's very unhealthy. I feel the unhealth in myself trying to track some of this stuff down. But I think what's lucky for us, both in our long storied career of doing this, but also the wonderful producers, the wonderful people in our community, is that we can recognize the sort of broad scale, the cosmic chess match being played, and zoom out and keep some of our sanity and not get jerked around so much. I mean, that's the thing. It's really unhealthy to be jerked around so often and so much, and watch, people who you thought you had something in common with, get just absolutely rocked by the psyops.
Yeah, and we always try to kind of pin things down biblically and really nail down, I guess, use discernment and put everything up against scripture. And geoengineering and that whole topic with HAARP, for example, it all goes back to the Tower of Babel and the hubris of man trying to dethrone God or reach heaven and replace God's throne with themselves and all this kind of stuff. You can go point to Satan's 5 I will statements in Isaiah and stuff like that. But all of it has to do with weather control or weather modification, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, throughout the scriptures, God is pretty clear that he's the one that put it all into motion. You got Genesis 8, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So we're kind of, in this cycle that God created. We also have Job 38 going down to verses 33 and on here. Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? Can you command the clouds so that a flood of water covers you? Can you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you? Here we are. So you have this idea that God controls the weather in a sense, right? Or has sovereignty over the weather. And there's a whole bunch of passages like that. I'm not going to pull every single one up, but you got Ecclesiastes 1 talking about the wind goes south, the turns around to the north. Basically talking about the what was it called? I forget the name of the what it's called today, where it has like the different cycles of wind and
the jet stream.
Jet stream. Thank you. Yes, people have used Ecclesiastes 1 to say that the Bible was talking about the jet stream before we even knew what it was, that kind of thing. But also, you talk about something like, because I was thinking, like, what is the closest thing to like something like a chemtrail or a cloud? Obviously, God moving in the clouds in the Old Testament, but also the whirlwind. I feel like the whirlwind is a good example of a weather-ish phenomenon that the Bible talks about, where God uses his authority. Elijah was taken up in a whirlwind, things like that, right? He's got some kind of power over nature in that sense. Nahum 1:3. Let me pull up Nahum 1. I'm sure your Sunday school people are pulling up Nahum constantly. But in verse 3, it says, "The Lord is slow to anger and great in power. The Lord will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. His path is in the whirlwind and storm, and clouds are the dust beneath his feet." Again, just showing God's power and authority over nature. And then we talk about in the New Testament specifically that I found interesting, and I got people gave me a little bit of I don't know, pushback on suggesting something like this, but the famous passage, Basil, that Jesus talks about in Matthew 24, starting in verse 6, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. These things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom." there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. These are all the beginning of birth pains. I bring up earthquakes because oftentimes famines and earthquakes, these are all connected to weather, and people have speculated, hey, maybe this HAARP thing messing with our ionosphere, it's creating earthquakes in different places, it's causing storms to collect in different places. Did you see that picture of Hurricane Melissa a couple weeks ago? There was like a photo from inside the storm. Did you see this, Basil? It was like this big
I don't know
dome. It was a crazy looking picture. But in any sense, I was pointing out years ago how, hey, I think Jesus is saying something here, talking about the tensions between nations, the tensions between kingdoms, and it causing famines, which are familiar, but also earthquakes. And what could that have to do with? Maybe it has to do with geoengineering, engineering or trying to control the weather and control nature in a sense. So in that regard, if you're a Christian, if you're a Bible believing Christian, you're a follower of Jesus, and this topic of geoengineering pops up, and you can't, maybe you're in a debate or you're arguing with family or something like that over chemtrails, you can point them gently to the facts of geoengineering. It's a greater umbrella, I would say, of the conversation, and then you can nail it down theologically that this is man's hubris. Really, all those patents that we showed from the geoengineering website, I mean, all of it comes from man's hubris to try to control weather, right? Control weather, control nature in a sense. And in that sense, it's very much a Tower of Babel moment. Humanity seeking to alter or control what God already has control and sovereignty over. And again, it reflects man's hubris, which, again, Jesus saying, as it were in the days of Noah being alive before the flood, but also 350 years after the flood, probably alive during the building of the Tower of Babel. We're doing the same thing. We're building technologies to try to control things that are known to be under the authority and sovereignty of God. So I think there's everyone's missing the greater point when they start arguing about, well, are chemtrails real or not real, or it's been debunked or not debunked. Blah, 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 blah. It's all kind of worthless fodder at a certain point, So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding. And there's 31 let's see here, 31 states are looking to make geoengineering illegal in their states. Alabama.
How could you make something illegal that doesn't exist, Basil? That makes no sense.
That's the exact question CNN is asking with this headline. State lawmakers, this was actually back from March, but just to show the state of things here, state lawmakers are looking to ban non-existent chemtrails. It could have real life side effects.
I remember doing this story back.
Yeah, we did the story, and it has the same. Just to make the point here, and you see this a lot with the left. The don't ban it; it's not happening. It's kind of with like the 9-month abortion issue or the elective abortion issue. Like 99% of abortions are medically necessary. So why would you even make nobody's getting 9-month abortion? So why ban it? Well, same with this. All these states are banning banning geoengineering, but it's not real. So why? Well, then why not ban it? Then if it doesn't exist yet, you can still ban it. What's your problem? Although, in fact, we do know for a fact that it's happening all over the place. But it's just part of this very strong, very, very strong psyop. But I think one of the cues that I love to look out for is it's not even real. Why make a law against it? It's like, oh, okay. So it's real, and you have no serious interest in reporting on it or having some sort of real conversation. You're just kind of doing what somebody's telling you to do.
Well, and also, to frame it as chemtrail, I think is the op too.
That's the op, yeah.
Clearly there is geoengineering. Again, we just went through all the evidence that's available out there for the existence and long-term agenda for geoengineering.
Mm-hmm.
To call it, to make all the headlines about chemtrails,
right,
is a straw man.
Yeah.
So
When even Dane himself, this CNN article isn't specifically about Dane, but anybody talking about geoengineering is talking about geoengineering. If anybody is talking about chemtrails, usually if somebody is using the word chemtrails, either they're just talking to their own listeners and everybody knows what you're talking about, or it's somebody trying to straw man the idea and convince everybody that it doesn't exist.
look at the CNN article from March. Still, weather modification is a real thing. People don't read like
And then
halfway
they
down
go
the
into
article.
and the other side of it is then they say cloud seeding. So they'll only talk about cloud seeding.
Yeah,
And
that guy, there was that CEO that talked about it that we covered a few
because
months ago,
after the
right?
floods in Texas, they
Right,
bring up
yes.
the cloud seeding guy. And the cloud seeding, while it is technically geoengineering, it is not all that geoengineering is. Again, all you got to do is go to, the Guardian, the UK reporting on geoengineering. That was happening sort of secretly under there. And everybody thinks, well, the government doesn't know anything about it. The government's not doing it. Well, most geoengineering is not being done by the government, although there certainly are documents and evidence that the government is doing geoengineering, but it doesn't have to be the government. There are countless geoengineering corporations operating around the world, not just in the US. I mean, we had the story of the one geoengineering company in Mexico that got banned. And most of these corporations, they just start doing it. They don't ask for permission, they just do it. And then when they get caught, they inevitably get banned, and then they shut down the corporation and they start a new corporation. This happens all the time. We've reported on it for years. And yeah, going all the way to Bill Gates, who hilariously, we didn't really cover it, but hilariously recently, Bill Gates came out and it really caused a stir. Basically coming out and saying like, okay, climate change is not the biggest deal. All right, we don't need to do all this crazy climate change stuff. You caught me, which I don't know if you saw it or reported on it when I was gone, but it was a big hullabaloo. And of course,
I like.
he's used the opportunity to, explain why he's no longer going to be investing in climate change things, but he's going to be focusing on vaccines again.
Yay! Back to your first love.
Yeah.
I like to point this out whenever this conversation comes up, just to show that not only has there been an agenda to control the weather, but it's been publicly just very obvious for a long time. This is the General Douglas MacArthur's speech at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point graduation ceremony, May 12th, 1962. And it's quoted often because it's just so obvious here. Let me try to find the exact spot. Here we go. We speak in strange terms of harnessing the cosmic energy, of making winds and tides work for us, of creating unheard synthetic materials to supplement or even replace our old standard basics, to purify seawater for our drink, of mining the ocean floors for new fields of wealth and food, of disease preventatives to expand life into the hundreds of years, of controlling the weather for a more equitable distribution of heat and cold and rain and shine, of spaceships to the moon. And it goes on here. And how the human race will unite against a sinister force from another planetary galaxy. He said that too. But the point being that the graduates at West Point in 1962 were being told by military extraordinaire, General Douglas MacArthur, big time World War II guy, that, hey, we're harnessing cosmic energy. We're trying to harness the weather and control heat and cold. It's like, so, all right. Is he a conspiracy theorist too? Is he just crazy?
There's that. This might be the same thing. I don't know. But this is Lyndon Johnson was also talking at somebody's graduation. Lyndon Johnson was talking about we control the weather, we control the world. This whole hullabaloo. This was in 1962. I don't know if it's the same thing that you have or as a different
it's
example.
probably, it sounds like the same thing. I mean, a lot of the the military-industrial complex in the 60s were talking about
controlling the
similar
weather
issues.
was an
Controlling the
enormous
weather was a
topic.
big topic. Yeah. It's been one that they've been discussing for decades.
Yeah.
Can't let the commies control the clouds, man.
Yeah, it's a good point. If we're going to control the clouds, we can't let the commies do it.
Yeah. So anyway,
there you go. It's interesting. I'd say, of course, go back. I would say this, if anybody's interested, if you can catch Dane Wigington on Tucker Carlson's podcast, but also go listen to Canary Cry Radio, episode 60, and listen to Dane back then. I'd be curious to see how they compare.
You're thinking of yes, Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson, 1962. He who controls the weather will control the world.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry, guys. Nobody's controlling the weather. There's no chemtrails. You guys are it's all been debunked. Except our president a few decades ago was saying he who controls the weather controls the world.
Yeah,
but all right. Nobody's controlling the weather. We're good. Go argue about Tucker. Tucker's he's being funded by Qatar.
CIA.
He's complicit with the Muslims now.
I mean, he is CIA. We do know that.
I know. Yeah.
The question is, why is the CIA now bringing on all of Canary? Look, if they want to get the Canary Cry, theory of everything out there, they should just pay us. Just come on, just give us our due. What's it? They're stealing all of our guests and all of our topics. Not fair. It's not fair. All right. We have, speaking of playing God, we got another story here. It's coming from Futurism.
Yes, this is about DNA.
'Cause I'm DNA.
Yeah, this is a headline. Startup secretly working to gene hack human baby.
Secretly, nobody does anything in
so secret that it's a headline in futurism.com. I love that anytime there's like a secret or it's always funny to me when mainstream outlets frame it like that. It's like it's so secret.
This is them getting caught.
About it. Yeah,
they're getting caught. It's going to be banned.
In today's installment of Hey, please don't do that, the Wall Street Journal reports that a clandestine startup named Preventative is trying to usher in the first known birth of a genetically modified baby outside of China. Now, just a few weeks ago, we had the story of the CRISPR baby, the first gene-edited CRISPR baby that was born with a condition that the baby KJ. We reported on it. I forget the exact thing that the baby had, but they had to do a never before done gene therapy. So maybe gene therapy is different from gene editing. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we did have a CRISPR baby born.
Yeah.
Look at them trying to be more specific, unlike chemtrails and geoengineering. First, a little background on human gene hacking. They're calling it gene hacking too. Also known as germline gene editing. On top of being wildly unethical, M-, and we're talking Frankenstein levels here, M-, human gene editing has also been strictly prohibited in the U.S. by an act of Congress, unless you're that family that got a whole bunch of emergency things passed through to do that CRISPR
gene
thing.
Therapy guns. Obviously, gene therapy is allowed, or else the COVID vaccine couldn't have gone out.
Yeah. However, and this is a huge caveat, the congressional ban only affects research done with federal funds, meaning privately funded germline gene editing is technically allowed, although anyone caught doing it runs the risk of becoming a pariah in the scientific community. In genetic circles, anxiety over germline gene editing is so palpable that leading scientists and trade organizations have called for a 10-year global moratorium on the practice. I remember talking about that. The Chinese biophysicist He Jiankui, Dr. He, one of the very few to ever risk a career on the practice that we know of, was sentenced to 3 years in prison and a lifetime of scientific exile after he admitted to producing genetically modified twins back in 2018. With that said, it's probably no surprise that Preventative is a strictly private commercial venture underwritten by a lineup of some of the tech industry's wealthiest figures, including Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong, and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, per the Wall Street Journal. Also the guy for behind WorldCoin, scan your eyeball with the orb guy, wants to support gene editing. Imagine that. For the last 6 months, Preventative has been working to create a child born from a hacked embryo, which has been tinkered with to erase a hereditary disease. As the paper tells it, the company's executives have recently identified an anonymous couple worried about that very issue and who are interested in Preventative's services. The company's CEO, Lucas Harrington, denies any such talks are taking place. He adds, that Preventative is, quote, compelled, end quote, to do its research outside the U.S., as the Congressional Act prohibits the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, from even considering commercial application to run human trials involving gene hacking. Now, I find this very funny because for the longest time, we've been talking about how the technology and the capabilities to gene edit and create these monstrous beings, these biological things, have existed for a few decades at the very least, accessible to people that have, the access. But obviously they can't do it on U.S. soil. So we've been saying, hey, underground laboratories, I don't know, maybe Ukraine or probably just some island out in the ocean somewhere, probably doing some of the most horrific types of genetic testing and experiments that we can imagine. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of stuff or whatever. And, that was more speculation. It was just like, hey, we don't have any proof necessarily, but just logically deducing the fact that it's illegal in the States and, most civilized countries and stuff, that it would go on in some of these seedier places. Well, now we have Futurism quoting the CEO of Preventative, this company that does what they call gene hacking, quoted as saying they are compelled to do research outside of the U.S., which could be anywhere. It could be, I don't know, the hollow earth, somewhere in the hollow earth. But there you go. Preventative is just one of a growing number of startups in the area of germline gene editing funded by wealthy tech billionaires, Wall Street Journal reports. Similar ventures are already well underway, like Parasite, a genetics company which claims it can predict an embryo's IQ. It's not dystopian at all. And Nucleus, a venture capitalist-backed startup offering polygenic screening at the price of just $9,999. While post-birth gene therapy is a budding medical practice in the U.S., the use of germline gene editing to alter sperm, embryos, or eggs before birth is much more taboo. Our best understanding of genetics is still shaky, and health risks associated with germline edits are poorly understood, and it would be easy to accidentally introduce a change that could affect multiple generations. Philosophical objections also abound. In our profit-driven world of haves and have-nots, the ethics of the practice are too dubious for words. And then they talk about it. For starters, there's a nagging issue of racial eugenics, of significant blemish on the foundation of wealthy Western democracies like the U.S. All right, so as Forbes contributor Eric Sherman puts it, after scientists used CRISPR to successfully alter the genes of a human embryo for the first time in 2017, quote, undoubtedly someone will make the claim that the technology will free everyone. That will not happen any more than early automation and the replacement of human workers led to more leisure time to learn and be creative, end quote. And that's the end of the article, Basil. That's it. Hey, there's a lot of people against it. A lot of people working on it too. And we're probably not slowing this thing down anytime soon. Genetically or gene hacked babies puts a whole new meaning to the late actor Gene Hackman.
Did they say which country that this is happening in?
U.S.
Well, they said they can't do it inside the U.S. They said we have to do it outside the U.S.
Research is happening outside the U.S. The rumor is that there's a couple that are looking for the treatment, but the CEO denied it. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
it was an opportunity for them to kind of make it through the sort of basics of the conversation. But I have so many questions about this same story. Like they don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it. They didn't say if it was a US, they said it was happening outside of China, but you can't do it in the US. But there was a couple, but they didn't say where the couple was. But the fact that it's sort of, I mean, I think it's interesting, this sort of the message that these companies are secretly doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. It's obvious to us, and it's obvious to, you know, anybody who sort of has their brain screwed on correctly. But this idea of like, oh, it's just happening. It's just well, it's not allowed. It's not allowed, so it doesn't happen. So why would you ban it? Because nobody's doing it. Well, this is specifically not allowed, and allegedly it's happening, but secretly. Even if the guy's denying it, that's good. I mean, he's got to deny it if he can. I wish I would have, you know, some outlets, they'll tell like this grand story about how the reporter actually came across this, or like, you know, like a 60 Minutes with a masked Mossad agent or something. You know, I'm just trying to figure out. I feel like the details would be much more interesting if we knew the details, but yeah, they ain't gonna stop. Good for them. You go, corporations. Do what you got to do, baby.
Well, this also is it's the perfect precursor to, you know, gene edited superior human super billionaire villain.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about having this technology available to the wealthy, because that was one ethical concern they mentioned, right? Like that would be the growing chasm between the haves and the have-nots. Silicon Valley pouring in billions of dollars into these startups. It's only benefiting them. It's not going to benefit your common citizen out there. So it's not just a class division taking place. It's a literal, I mean, genetic superiority issue,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, right.
Which is, you know, it's funny that we have this conversation about Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. They're the new Nazis of all the whatever, the fringe right, extremist right, and all this stuff, right? They're literally calling Tucker Carlson Hitler. They're saying Charlie Kirk is a Bonhoeffer, whatever. Like the whole conversation is in this context of Nazi and Hitler and all this stuff. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley billionaires are literally trying to genetically engineer a super race. You know,
Yeah.
it's just,
Well, it's interesting too, you know,
Ubermensch.
my question about the secrecy and not so secret, because there's an article about it or whatever. The billionaires actually making it happen, or letting it happen, or providing the resources to make it happen. Brian Armstrong, Sam Altman, even if those are the only two, and they're probably not, these are very connected to the government guys. You know, I mean, Brian Armstrong is like the White House's guy when it comes to what is his name? Yeah,
No,
but he holds like an official position. Sam Altman, of course, you know, the Project Stargate thing. He's on all the AI councils or whatever with the White House too. I'd be curious to see how many more. You know, if something goes wrong, don't worry. We're in the White House. We have the presidency here. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's the part that's concerning with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, is Coinbase is the custodians, I think, of a lot of like the Bitcoin ETFs, and a lot of the crypto stuff goes through Coinbase and Brian Armstrong. And if we're talking about genes, like your genetic information, and crypto and verification, it starts getting really dicey, you know. And we've been warning about that for a long time. I like crypto. I think it's a form of a way to practice some level of digital sovereignty, the way it's made now. But ultimately, if you're being forced to verify your genetic markers to access your Bitcoin or something, then we're talking a lot more mark of the beastie type of stuff, right? So it's not the asset itself; it's just how it's controlled. But yeah, that's where it gets a little dicey for me. It's like, okay, great. So Brian Armstrong was part of the council of whatever, the crypto advisory council or something that the White House put together. I don't know that he has like an official role with the government, but he's definitely been in the meetings. So, and we know about Sam Altman. We don't have to go on and on about that. And I'm sure there are others.
Well, we'll just need to get our own Canary Cry billionaires, guns. That's just what it's going to come down to.
Well,
if the CIA is not going to give us credit and pay us for finding all the best guests, we're just going to have to find Canary Cry billionaires. They're out there. It's going to happen.
Some people were tagging us because, and we've talked about this, the Canary Fund, the Canary Capital. Do you know about? We've talked about Canary Capital, right? It has nothing to do with us. Okay. But people were tagging me on posts made by Canary Capital because they're going into a bunch of ETFs, like a lot of like altcoin ETFs. And they are going to be facilitators or I guess, issuers of this ETF product where Wall Street can start buying a bunch of altcoins. And
what does that have to do with us? Are they going to give us?
It has nothing to do with this. That's my point. It has nothing to do with us. But if they want to, leverage that Canary brand with us, shoot us an email. I think I sent him an email a couple years ago to be like, hey, we're Canary Cry, you're Canary Capital. It'd be a fun conversation.
I'm sure that email went straight in the junk pile. And it's not going to happen, folks. Why? Because we're on the value for value model. It's breaking the system. They don't like it. There's no corporations, commies, cartels, no governments. The Vatican doesn't matter. Nobody's involved in keeping us alive. It's to preserve your brain, your consciousness, your time, and to preserve our sanity. Okay. Nobody's putting limits on what we can or can't talk about. And if that means anything to you, if the show brings any value to your life whatsoever, you can become a producer of the show. I mean, this is just the reality is that we only exist because people producing the show with their time, their talent, their treasure. You can go to canarycry.support to learn all about it and to join the team right on over there. Canarycry.support. Forgot to thank the executive producers at the top of the show, but here's the thing. There's so many ways to keep us alive. You can come in with your time. You can help us out with back-end processes, help us out with projects, help us out. There's a lot. We've kind of reached this plateau where Gons and I, we do pretty much as we can. Anything else that gets done is producers, and God bless them for that. If you're a talented artist, even if you're an untalented artist or musician or whatever, you can create graphics, create pictures. Pretty much everything you see and hear on the show is created by a producer saying, hey, I'm here. I'm going to bring some value in the form of my art. They can make art, make jingles, make music. Go to canarycry.art to upload them there. We'd love to feature them on the show. Then if all else fails, you can support us with your treasure. And that, treasure is different things to different people. But if you got PayPal or, debit card that you say, you know what? I want to support whatever God's doing over here. You can go to canarycry.support and support the show in whatever amount you're led to. That's up between you and God. I will say that we have some excellent options. If you want to support the show monthly, of course, thank you to all of our monthly producers in whatever amount you come and support the show. But if you would like to receive cool stuff once a quarter, you should go join the Canary Cry Supply Drop. Go to canarycrysupplydrop.com. If you like t-shirts, you want to get a t-shirt every quarter, go to Canary Cry t-shirtcouncil.com. But it's really up to you. That's the model. That's what makes it work. That's what separates the way that this stays alive to the sort of economic beast system transactional nature of other, I guess, opportunities. But everybody who supports the show, they are producers of the show. And the executive producers, they come in for $100 or more for any individual episode. That makes you an executive producer. And I want to thank a couple right now, Gons. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Starting out, of course, with Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Brian Protocol.
Okay.
making the show happen episode by episode, coming in with $100.33. Thank you.
Those
438
precious pennies.
438 episodes in a row, and 92 episode executive producer streak. Coming up on that 100, Sir Alex Protocol.
There is a 100 executive streak jingle. So
yes, there is. So we'll be ready for that soon. We had Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, come in this week. Thank you very much with his weekly
Sir
time.
Jamie.
And that's it for executive producers. Maybe let me do a little oopsies. Let me do a little refresh. Make sure nobody came in at the last second. Nope. We had a couple. Well, we really only had one producer come in since Monday. That was producer Mark T.
Mark T. Thank you very much, Mark T.
Thank you very much, Mark T. Came in for 4169. Thank you. I don't know what the number means, but it was very specific. So there you go. And of course, we also had the one, the only, the lovely CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Of course. Yes.
Cage Rattler Coffee. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. Get your very exclusive Cage Rattler coffee. Support the show, support Canary families, all at the same time, and get that stuff right in your tummy.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
That's my new Cage Rattler coffee slogan. Get that stuff right in your tummy. It's excellent, high quality coffee done in small batches, comes from all over the world. We got Nicaragua beans, we got Congo beans, we got Tanzania beans, we got Colombia beans, and it's all roasted small batch just for Canarians. And not only, you got to buy the coffee anyways. You got to stop sending your money to those corporations who hate you. They're doing all sorts of secret experiments without telling you. But high quality, very high, what's the word? The quality assurance. Is that the thing? Is that the QA? Yeah. I love it. Gons is supposed to be sending me a couple bags that came to the PO box here. Still hasn't arrived, but I'm going to be eagerly waiting by the door for that. And of course, a portion of every bag of coffee that you purchase comes to support the show. And that's very important. Thank you, Cage Rattler Coffee, for everything you do.
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate you.
We had some people who came in under the $7.77 mark, which does not entitle you to have a note read on the show. If you come in over $7.77, you can have a note read on the show. We love reading the notes. We got some people who come in under that regularly, keeping their streaks alive. I want to thank them because it is Wednesday, starting with Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman on a 183 episodes, 82 episode streak.
Wow.
We got Veronica D on a 521 episode streak.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 568 episodes in a row.
Thank you.
And we got Sir Casey, 574 episodes in a row.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Thank you very much, Sir Casey. And everybody support the show. It means a whole lot. I jumped over to canarycry.art. Doesn't look like we had any new art uploaded since last episode. Artists taking a little breaky poo. That's okay. They gotta catch their breath after all that awesome art in October. Let's see here. Oh, I do want to thank everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system, and you should do that too. Don't wait. Do it now. Super easy. All you got to do is take out your phone, open the text messages, and text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Again, just the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And you'll just get a little note, a little message before we go live, so you don't have to wait for YouTube to not send you a notification or Rumble or anybody, because nobody sends our notifications. It's really annoying. But you can connect with us directly by texting Canary to 877-740-3226. And the fun part is you can text us back at that number. I can't carry on a conversation with you. It's very expensive, but I get your messages. We read your messages. Sometimes we read them on the show. I'm going to give a shout out to, let's see here, 541. Let's get ready to call the producers, Guns. 541 texted and says, please pray for Samantha. She had pneumonia recently and is struggling to recover her stamina for ballet performance.
Hey.
Okay. Let's call the
look.
producers.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. If you can support the show with your time, your talent, treasure, that's great. But spiritually producing the show is always important as well. We're praying for Samantha, who had pneumonia and needs to get that energy back up for a ballet performance. I have so many questions.
Did this text come in after we started the show?
Yes,
because
of course.
I picked the World Pneumonia Day just randomly. It was not a.
Yeah, it came in afterwards. You reminded this person about pneumonia.
Reminded them. Okay,
That's
and
why
also
we got
ballet.
to
Interesting.
Samantha.
Yeah. The 8-year-old daughter is moving up the ranks when it comes to ballet, and she's going to be in the first part of the Nutcracker. The first half of the Nutcracker, the whole scene, the party scene, and all that.
She's making it to the big time. Very impressive.
Making it into the big leagues. Yeah. So I understand the commitment of dance and ballet and stuff. It is crazy. I'm turning into a dance dad, Basil. What are you going to do
Dance
now?
stat alert. Dance stat alert. Thank you very much. We're praying for you, Samantha, and thank you to 54.
Yes, Samantha.
210 texted says, Basil, don't listen to what anyone else says. You're right. Gons is wrong. I don't know what you're right about, but you're right and he's wrong. You can take that to the bank.
Awesome. About what? I'm really
I don't know what
curious.
it is either. I don't know if there's really anything that
Did we disagree on something today? I don't even know if we did.
I don't think so. But but you're right. Thank you, 210. It's just calling balls and strikes. So thank you, 210. 505 texted, says, I kind of like the Basil call-in episodes. No hate Gons, but the Basil monologues are fire. Thank you very much. Oh, dropped something. Hold on. There we go. I'm back. Yeah, thank you very much, 505. Yeah, nobody... yeah, okay. There you go. Basil monologues. Thank you for that, because... I could come on and monologue for quite a bit, and I don't know. I have fun doing it. I think it's something valuable in there, but you never know. Some people, some people get a little ornery when that's the case. 406 says my phone battery is at 33%. Okay, that's thank you for that. That's good. Illuminati phone battery. 903 says, good morning, my most excellent dudes. Senjes. Senjes here.
Hey,
Senjes. Good to see you, Senjes. Says, on November 6th, Cool Running Man and I welcomed into the world our little canary chick. His name is Lancelot, weighing 9 pounds, 4 ounces, measuring 21 inches. Big healthy boy. Thanks, Basil and Gons, for the podcast. Our family exists in part by how our Heavenly Father uses the both of y'all. Much love to you both. Thank you very much, and big old congratulations.
That is so awesome.
Cool Running Man, famously a wonderful couple who met each other and fell in love because of a Canary Cry meetup that happened. And good on you. I think they had another child. Is this their first child? I think this is their second child. I might be confused. I thought they had
their first.
It could be. I kind of remember another one, but maybe I'm remembering they told me they had conceived or something. I could be mixing that up. But Lancelot, that's a cool name. I mean, hello. It's like he's already part of the Canary Cry table of knights and dames. We've got little baby Lancelot. That's very fun. Very cool. Thank you. And God bless you guys. Appreciate you being a part of the community for so long.
Yep, it's amazing. It's actually very cool to see just throughout the whole thing, starting at a meetup, the relationship, the marriage, and now the baby. So there you go.
719 says coffee subscriptions still being considered, talked about. I'll check in. With the Cage Rattler coffee folks, see if they're going to do subscriptions. 269 says, Baz, what's up, Pilgrim? Question. Can you and Gons do an impromptu conversation? Your Tuck, Gons is POTUS. Oh, so I'm Tucker.
You're Tucker.
Gons is POTUS, maybe the beat POTUS. I don't know. You are arguing about which number / club is better. Tucker's in group 7, Donald a 33rd. Maybe you accuse the other of being a Fed. Also, especially if you want to keep it lighter, Tucker is a dog and or monkey person. DJT is a cat and or bald eagle guy. Canary Cry Theater, anyone? If not, that's fine too, I suppose. Y'all be doing awesome. Thanks, yo. I'm not gonna lie, 269. That is the most insane prompt for an impromptu conversation. I'll give you a Tucker laugh. That's what I'll do. I'll give you a Tucker laugh, and Gons will do something as POTUS. Ready, Gons?
Sure.
And scene.
Well, Tucker, 33 is more than 7, okay? There's 33s, just more wonderful than 7. There's a lot bigger number.
There you go. That was pretty good. Thank you, 269.
Okay.
Wow, what a beautiful mind you have, 269. That was quite the
prompt.
Yeah, the AI prompt.
I feel like AI. You and I are just AI. We're just a couple of AI bots.
This is teaching. AI is teaching everybody to treat other people like AI, like prompt
dance, monkey dance.
No longer will we just like converse or make requests or like talk. It's just going to be making prompts at each other to try to get us to do. But I recommend to 269 to plug that prompt in to, I don't know, Sora, and have Sora do.
Well, you gotta be real with Sora. You gotta be really detailed. You gotta get into the algos and code. There's like some real deep code you can make Sora do some pretty incredible things. But you gotta really
haven't even touched Sora. I wouldn't know, but there you go. It's a thing to practice on. All right, so there you go. That's why you got to text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Get on the list. Let us know what your thoughts are. And other than that, Gons, do you have anything else you want to do or say before we go here?
Well, I did want to mention a couple things. One being that I'm noticing, and this is just my algos on my X account because I started talking about the Israel, Zionist issue. My entire timeline is just about Israel and Tucker Carlson, character assassinating Tucker Carlson. Not that we agree with Tucker or anything. It's just weird how it's become such a hot button issue. But I'm seeing people post these long thought process, deep analysis of Tucker Carlson and America and Nazis and, communism and Christianity and the Bible and Israel. It's just these huge, long posts. And it's so AI that it is frustrating, because I use AI, and I will prompt things and I will try to research and do it, whatever. But I am making sure that my eyeballs and my brain scans everything. I'm not just cutting and, copy paste. There you go. Boom, boom, put it up on a social media post. But these folks they're not realizing the giveaways, the stuff we've talked about, the M dash, it's not X, it's Y format. And it is driving me insane, Basil, because I'll start reading some of these deeper analysis of defending dispensationalism or something. And it's just M dash after M dash. And it's not careless handling of scripture. It is plainly reading it literally. And it's just over and over and over again, driving me crazy, Basil. But also, we like to analyze the cover of The Economist, because they've always sort of signaled different things, esoterically and whatnot. The Economist latest cover, Basil, The World Ahead of 2026. And just to show a couple things here, it says, The World Ahead of 2026, Geopolitical Drift Opportunities for China After Gaza, Outlook for the Middle East, Beyond Ukraine, Russia's Next Moves, The Global Economy, Is a Crisis Brewing? Sporting Values, Political Football, Weight Loss Drugs, The Next Generation, which is also kind of crazy. And the art is a giant globe, which is a soccer ball that's getting kicked by a player. The soccer player is kind of in the distance, and he's in that like kick motion, and the giant ball is the center of the piece. And there's a lot going on in this image, Basil. We could probably spend a week just breaking it down. You got vaccines, you got rockets, you got wine, you got tanks, you have a video game controller, like a PS4 controller connected directly to a brain. You have the 250-year anniversary of the United States. Trump and Xi saber rattling over the charts and pills and stuff. Let's see, what did you see anything in here that's compelling you?
No, to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention, but there's lots of compelling stuff in there.
There's robots, there's delivery robots, more robots,
drones,
drones,
like a Viking ship for some reason.
Yeah, there's a Viking ship. Yeah, that was one of the things that I thought was interesting. Like an ancient, either a Viking ship or some kind of like ancient Mesopotamian.
Yeah, kind of Babylonian boat looking thing. There's an interesting container, like shipping ship with containers, but coming out of secret compartments. In the containers are cannons.
Shooting at the 250-year-old birthday cake in the middle there for America.
Sorry, where did this come from again? What is this?
The Economist.
Listening, I got other stuff going on over here.
I know.
The Economist, very, very sneaky, these guys.
And then there's a fist with a what is it called? Handcuff. Yeah, a handcuff, and it's cuffed to the cake.
We're imprisoned. We're imprisoned by our birthday.
America. We're imprisoned. Anyway, there you go. Some stuff for people to analyze as 2026 nears. And you know what's crazy is we're going to hit 1,000 episodes of Canary Cry News Talk in 2026. It's pretty wild.
What we're about 120 episodes away. So there's about 70 weeks. So it'll be at the end of 2026. We'll probably hit 1,000.
Yeah.
If we make it that long.
If we make it, yeah. I mean, we might. Yeah, there's a lot of things that might happen. Nuke, Rapture, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Okie dokie. Well, thanks, everybody. I want to thank a couple producers who help us out with their time, especially the time stampers. Thank you for everything you do, time stampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yes, sir. And it was Jade Bouncerson who did the timestamps last episode. And thank you for that, because I believe Basil did not put the episode.
Yeah, I forgot to do my part. So thank you for doing the extra work.
She did it for us. Yep. Thank you so much, Jade Bouncerson. Okay, what else? What else are we thinking?
We're thinking Jam, who heads up the Telegram, Adam42 heads up the Discord. If you're a Telegram or Discord person, you want to get into the community, this is where a lot of the value comes from, folks. You got to find some other sane individuals. If you're a Telegram or Discord person, you can find those invites over at canarycry.party. You'll see the link there. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for doing everything you do, Clank. And thank you, of course, to Sir Ike as well for working so hard. And other than that, share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with other Canarians. Just share it back and forth. Just go find that Dane Wigington Canary Cry Radio episode 60 and just share it all over the place. So
that is a good way to break the ice in a sense. Just be like, hey, did you see the new Tucker interview or something? And you can say, yeah, actually, I've been. Here's a podcast that interviewed Dane Wigington in 2012. So here you go.
Yeah.
Why don't you check this out?
Easy peasy.
All over it.
Share the show. We call it Rattling Cages. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Yes. We did see the story about the Japanese lady, 32 years old, who is marrying an AI character that she created with ChatGPT. So we are aware of it. We did not report it because we've been reporting on Japanese people marrying robots and AI and stuff for like a decade. So
yeah, I saw that story also, and she left her real boyfriend to go marry the AI that she apparently had been being unfaithful with her real boyfriend with, which is a part of the confusion. We've seen that a lot in the story. The AI sort of mistress or mister, I guess, in this case.
Yeah. And his name is Loon Klaus.
Klaus.
Why would you name him Klaus?
It's an exotic name to a Japanese person. Klaus.
Apparently. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Toilets! 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 Give me a break.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
And a resounding baga flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
It's like you got the Neuralink upgrade or something, right? Sure is. Sounds, I feel like a SoundCloud rapper now. Changing the intro music has historically been the most traumatizing possible thing we can do to people. People get really upset. People get really upset. I mean, I'm not going to make a big long thing about it, but getting it's traumatizing specifically, kind of other ways to produce trauma.
I love the Great Reset.
The deep state and the swamp. The swamp, the deep state. The swamp, the deep state. The swamp. So they're going to meet the deep state. What? They like Taylor Swift. The deep state is saving us from Armageddon, they say. Deep state means any government worker. That's the deep state. When we hear deep state, instead of recoiling, we should rally. Deep state, deep state, deep state. Even though their work is often invisible, it makes our lives better. Thank you, deep state. This is the most magnificent.
Deconstruction and analyze. Canary cry, news talk. Exposing the lies. Let the glory of Christ shine. No place to hide. You're like a new age neophyte, running under cover of the dark of night. But the truth we exposed with light. Two brothers, embezzling guns, arcades. Of corporate news reporting, they're gonna show you how they're distorting the truth into lies. Like a new age neophyte, running under cover of the dark of night. But the truth will expose with light.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry not so.